Well, good morning, everyone. It is July 24th, Friday, and I'm coming to you live from the University of the Ozarks in Clarksville, Arkansas. I'm told that internet is moving a little slowly this morning, so if you're having any troubles, please be patient with us, and it will catch back up. Um, I'm not, this is a plug. I'm so looking forward to transitioning over to Clarksville Connected Utilities. For those who don't know what that is, what used to be Light and Water has added internet to its services, and we transitioned all of our residential facilities over to them last year, and we'll be transitioning our academic spaces and folks places like here, our home, over to them, and they're giving us a heck of a lot of bandwidth. I shouldn't say giving us, we're paying for it, but then those resources stay local. So for those of you that are in Clarksville, check out Clarksville Connected. I know it's a plug, but it's the city. It's all of us working together. So, hello. I got a haircut. I don't know if anybody noticed. After not having a haircut since March, that's kind of a big deal. I went out into public with a mask, and getting a haircut with a mask is somewhat of a challenge. But luckily, folks are embracing it, and and it's okay. And I feel a whole lot better with shorter hair. Some of you are rolling your eyes at me. My engineer, Holly, is rolling her eyes at me, so I'll get more serious now. So we're a couple weeks out from repopulating in larger numbers. So last Monday, we started the repopulation plan with staff, and added 25% of our employees who were not here for the summer, added them back. Next week, we'll add another 25%, and then we'll add another 25%, with the hope that we never fully go back to 100% until we know that there's either a vaccine or this has been eradicated. And the reason why we've said 75% is to allow for a little more flexibility, a little more space. And in fact, we're in the process of evaluating some employees in some positions that are just going to work from home permanently, as opposed to the kind of the rotation, which had been the original plan. We've got some folks who've said, and not only faculty, but some staff saying, hey, I'm really productive working out of my home office. What might it look like if I delay returning until next semester, or delay returning until we have a vaccine? So now that we're in the throes of that, and in many ways we're testing some things. What does it look like as we come back with these new rules or these new guidelines? What does it look like as we start preparing for students to return? You know that we published a repopulation plan. If you haven't had a chance to read it, hit our homepage, the yellow gold banner above the top, hit read more, and it gives you the full plan. And then it gives you the dates that we're looking to bring everybody back. I will tell you that some of those dates are probably going to, they're probably going to change over the weekend. So what do I mean? That you may have noticed, if you have any connection to athletics, you may have noticed that over the last 10 days, nearly 2/3 of Division III athletic conferences have made changes to their schedule. They're either delaying their schedule, some are canceling it completely, some are simply moving it to the spring. Later today, the governing body of the NCAA is meeting to review some of those more sweeping changes. The American Southwest Conference, the conference we're in, is meeting later today to review options. So know that we're continually evaluating every decision we've made. Every's exaggerating. Most of the decisions we've made to plan to repopulate, as we get new information, we're reevaluating those decisions. So no, over the next 72 hours, we'll be evaluating what day our fall athletes return because the guidelines may change. So know that even though we put out a fabulous plan led by Vice President Garcia, and we believed we were good to go a week and a half ago when it went public, it's now going to start changing. Um, one of our faculty members sent out a post a couple weeks ago that was Eisenhower's, and I'm going to mess it up. What is it? Plans are worthless. Planning is everything. Well, we've got the muscle memory to adapt and change the plan, and that's the mode we're in right now as we move into the fall. We've got the classrooms and class spaces situated. As I mentioned last week, if you want to see what physical space looks like and you're near Clarksville, drive by Johnson Street and you'll see the tennis court set up for a mock classroom. For 30 students, it takes quite a bit of space. So we've been able to modify spaces to ensure that we're ready to go. Students are going to be expected to wear masks. Students are, well, not just students, everyone is going to be expected to wear a mask or a shield or both when they're in public. And we're going to do our very, very best to ensure that all of us are safe and cared for as we move into the fall semester. Folks, if you haven't been with us before, if you have any questions as we go about, feel free to just start dropping those in the comment section. And Holly is across from me, and she'll send me questions. Some of the most frequently asked questions now are things like, well, if I go all online, and right now I think we have less than a dozen students that have registered for only online classes, because we have online, we have hybrid, and then we have face-to-face. But some students have said, hey, if I go all online and I have a housing and room assignment, should I keep the housing and room assignment? Should I stay at home? Could I? Know that we're going to be pretty flexible. So if you're in Plano, Texas, and you can do all online because we have 40% of our classes are set up that way. And you go, I think I'd rather stay at home. That's not what we want. It's not what we prefer because we believe liberal arts college is done face to face and in community. But if there are those challenges and you wonder about that, reach out to Caitlin Huckfeld, the director of Residence Life, and say, okay, what are my choices? What are my options? Again, it's about your safety. That as we talked about the guiding principles of our plan, the health and safety of our community is paramount. And if you believe a modification to your situation will make you more safe, raise a hand and say, can I? May I? What would this look like? Likewise, as we talk about coming back to the campus community, and we talk about what does it look like to be in Clarksville, I proffered after a question 2 weeks ago that I thought we could figure out how to do shopping in the community without you ever leaving campus. Well, sure enough, we have. And Student Affairs is going to create a portal very similar to some of the current stores that allow you to order online and then go pick it up. Well, they're going to do the same kind of thing. They'll have a student worker that will go and pick up everybody's stuff and bring it back to campus. Why do I stress that? At least for the first few weeks, if not the first month or so, I'm not going to lock you in your rooms. And I don't mean it to sound like that, but I'm sure going to ask, can we just sit tight on campus? Can we find a balance, an equilibrium as we come in, and then we gradually release how much flexibility can we have as we think about traveling? If you're someone that says, hey, I'm in the River Valley and I go home every weekend, That's another one of those questions that it might be good to have a conversation with Caitlin, or it might be good to have a conversation with Janae or Tyler, folks in student affairs. Our students know them, and go, what does this look like? If I'm going home to Bentonville every weekend, what is my behavior maybe doing? And how much risk might I be adding as I come to and from every weekend or every other weekend? We're going to stress pretty hard that once we start, our hope is that the moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas send care packages, but send them through U.S. Postal Service. Don't bring them to campus. We even had that conversation with someone who lived 7 miles from here, and I think that was in April, going, we appreciate grandson is here. We appreciate you only live 7 miles away, but when we talk about the kind of community we want to build and protect us, we're going to ask that you be somewhat rigid in there. I've spent the last 5 minutes beating that horse, and I know I've beat it the last 3 meetings. I'll continue to beat it, well, because I want us to be safe. I want us to be healthy. And we know that minimizing contact is one of the quickest ways to decrease the risk of further exposure. Holly, do we have questions that have popped up? And if so, what shall I talk about?
Would you please talk about what contactless drive-through check-in for move-in day will look like?
Will I please talk about what contactless check-in move-in looks like? We're approaching a detail that I will tell you what I know. That the staff have developed a check-in form procedure, electronic, where students will sign up for a time slot. That they will be given access to their space, namely because of the way we also have technology working here. You know, I can't, but other people can open doors to our residence halls with their phone. They don't need to touch you or touch your stuff. That it's my belief that the key information that any student needs will be sitting on their desk in their room. That it's my understanding that we've moved from learning materials and books and anything and everything we can do to minimize the amount of physical touch, or the number of people that have to touch things, so that your move-in can be seamless. Now, for my freshmen, this is one of those where I've been trying to break myself of telling you what you're not getting, right? If I don't tell you what you didn't get, you won't miss it. This is one where know that move-in day is, we do it differently. I mean, the whole community typically moves people in, and often I hear from moms and dads going, that was too fast. We didn't get to have all the conversations we thought we were going to have when we unload the car. Well, this is going to be you and your family unit moving you in. Moms, dads, you're going to have a little extra time to say all the things that maybe you didn't get said. And we'll celebrate you moving in at a later date, so that we can all be safe.
Back on athletics.
Yes.
Will the university or coaches reach out to families as soon as decisions are made about seasons?
The question is, will we reach out as soon as decisions are made? And who will reach out? Draft communication. It's a communication tree. If A happens, this communication goes out. All of that's been developed, and it'll go something like this. Once a vote is done by the folks above us, we'll figure out how to implement that. Then we'll notify the athletic director, then the coaches, so that they have a chance to figure out any nuances, and then it will go directly to the student, so that all of the students involved know the same thing, same time. But we want to make sure that we bring our coaches into that conversation, because in many ways it's being done to them too. so that they get a little bit of a head start on the, okay, what does this mean for my program? And are there very specific things I need to be prepared for my team? So yes, as soon as those decisions have been made and we know it's ready to go, it will go to the same communication email that is used on the recruitment side for our incoming students, and for our returning students, it will go to your Ozarks email.
Is it possible that work-study students could potentially receive hazard pay, especially if they're working in high-traffic areas like dining services?
Is it possible that work-study students could be receiving hazard pay as it relates to working in high-traffic areas? I'm going to respond out of both sides. This is where you all know I can do this. My first reaction is no, because we've charged managers to remove that hazard, right? So things that you used to see in dining, you're not going to see you're not going to see the person grabbing your card and swiping it, right? Because that adds to a touch. You're going to see people behind the plexiglass. You're going to see very detailed, you can stand here, you can sit here. So it won't be high traffic. There may be a lot of traffic, but it shouldn't create those hazards. As we think about other kinds of jobs that managers have been tasked all summer long to think about, how do you minimize risk? How do we minimize exposures? You're going to see plexiglass, and not just little bitty pieces of plexiglass, great big plexiglass separating us. You know that pains me, but that's what we're doing to try to protect us. So that's the first, we're going to minimize the risk. Second, should we get hazard pay, and who should get hazard pay? I don't know. Um, I don't know. That currently there are 12 people on campus. They're the folks that clean all of our facilities. They're the folks that are going to be coming in after my students, cleaning constantly. If we were to talk about hazard pay, and it's a great big if we were to talk about hazard pay, the first group that would be on my list are my custodians. And we would work from there. And I'm confident the folks in my finance office, their heads are spinning around going, I cannot believe he just said that in public for the whole world to see. But again, this is the relationship I want with our campus community to go, well, what should it look like? If we're going to do it, what does it look like? Holly, please.
How will the university help students who are completely online to still feel part of the campus community?
The question is, how will students completely online still feel part of the campus community? I think in some ways similar to those that are physically in McLean Hall. One of the examples I gave a couple weeks ago was the Thursday night conversations on race that we've been having for the last month, where 20 to 60 of us, 20's low, 35 to 60 of us have joined in for a couple of hours in a Zoom conversation, and it really has been a conversation. It will be imperative that anything from the alumni office to folks working on homecoming to folks working in any of our clubs and organizations, folks working in student affairs, that we're all thinking about what mechanisms do we use so that we still feel connected, and so that we still feel like we're a part of something bigger, which is the ethos of Ozarks. Some of that will need to come from students. When they say, hey, I've got an idea. Can we do X? Great. Can we do it safely? Yes. Great, then do it. What do you need? Do you need technology? Do you need a little bit of resource? Do you need time? Do you need help? Those are the kinds of things that we're going to need to do. And all of this is predicated on the belief that this isn't going to go on forever, right? Some schools are going, hey, students will stop coming to school because of this. I hope not. I hope 150 of you are planning to graduate in May. I hope 200 of you are planning to graduate the next May. 220 the next May. Let's see here. 240 the following May. That's what I'm hoping, and that this is definitely a blip. It's traumatic and feels traumatic now, but that in our lifetime, it's going to be one of those things you go, I persevered. Yeah, I still went to college. Yeah, I still studied. I wasn't going to let a international pandemic, completely derail the trajectory of my entire life. That's how we're addressing it, and that's how we're approaching it. And we hope you join us in that. Holly.
Are there specific guidelines that will relate to students who have part-time jobs off campus?
All right, if you have the question is, what about my part-time job off campus? If you have a part-time job off campus and it is not tied to your academic program, I'm an analyst for Clarksville Connected a couple of days a week. Okay, that's one category of job. I mow lawns on the weekends. That's a category of job. I stock shelves every night at Walmart. And you just start looking at this. So what I'd ask you to do is think about your part-time job. If you're safe and folks in your part-time employment are respecting social distancing, and you're not feeling like you're putting yourself or us at risk as you go to that part-time job, great. I'm not going to stress about it. But if, as you go to your part-time job, your anxiety kind of goes up and you feel like you're putting yourself at risk, and it's not closely tied to your long-term trajectory, reach out to Ruth Walton and say, what else you got? Can we find a different campus job? Right? So that you still have the revenue, but it's maybe a little safer, and maybe it's more closely aligned to your major. The idea of all of us running off campus every day, it scares me. That's not true. It makes me anxious.
Has there been any discussion about lower cost tuition for online or hybrid classes?
Has there been any conversation about lower cost tuition about online or hybrid? Has there been conversation? Yes. All right. Lots of conversation. At its core, the tuition here is already funded disproportionately by people other than our students. Our endowment, our friends, these amazing benefactors. I do know that tuition, that there's a cost there. That as we think about how all that cost works, the cost is driven by the quality and the way we deliver. Moving to online doesn't decrease our cost. It actually drives it up, because now we're managing multiple different systems, so there is no savings to pass on to students, right? We're trying to find as many other resources to control all of these costs. So moving online for a few students, it's not a reduction, so there's not a savings to pass on. I'd like to remind you of the first principle when we said we were putting this plan together, and it said to fulfill our mission and meet our standards of excellence. I expect that online education is just as good, that you're learning just as much, just as well, and it's preparing you for work, grad school, as though you were on campus. We know it's going to be different, but those learning outcomes have to be met. And if folks would like to, for folks who don't know this, enrollment management, financial aid, and those kinds of things, it was my life before being a university president. You also know that we've only raised price twice in 7.5 years here. And that I'm a big proponent of thinking about price and cost, because price is one thing. That's what the price is. And then what does it actually cost me in money today and student loans and my work study? And that I really want us to own that and understand it. And we work really thin so that we can give the best packages possible to students so that their ultimate out-of-pocket cost is as low as possible.
More questions, but first Ruth would like to remind folks that there are remote jobs available too.
Perfect. If you didn't see Ruth's comment, Ruth is the director of the Career Center. She has, there are remote jobs. There's some cool remote jobs too.
Are there bike trails on campus or a disc golf course?
Bike trails on campus. The trailhead for the community bike trails is, it's not on our property, but we have the property on both sides. So right at the base of campus, you can hop on a trailhead. My children and I spend a fair amount of time on those trails. And if you don't have a bike, our outdoor recreation, Ozarks Outdoors, has 25, 30 bikes that you can check out for the day and hop on them. So yes, and we make it really easy. Okay, folks, I think that concludes the questions. I'll repeat my ask from last week, that I mentioned that I had two requests. Request number one, help us think about not only this group of students that we're continually recruiting, our returning students and our incoming freshmen, which is amazing, and we want to think about that we're always wrapping our arms around them a little bit more, even if we can't do that physically. I'm hoping you start thinking about who's deserving of an Ozarks education for next year. And the reason why I'm introducing that is because I think it's only a matter of days before our colleagues in secondary education tell us, hey, I'm sorry, but we aren't accepting visitors, and college recruiters are visitors. I think it's just a matter of days. And if it never happens and our folks are able to travel, maybe, but I think it's going to happen, and that'll change how we recruit. And my hope is that all of you, that this typically reaches about 3,000 views within 72 hours. If 3,000 of you are helping me recruit the 280 freshmen and the 40 transfers for next year, I'd sure be appreciative. And then the last thing that I ask is that you keep us in our prayers. And when I say us, it's the university, it's our students, it's the folks who support us and have supported us for 186 years. It's for folks in Little Rock that are trying to manage things as best they can and make good decisions. It's the folks in Washington that well, they might need other things, but I know they need our prayers. So please be with us and know that we're excited to get the school year up and open, and we're going to do our very, very best. And when we make mistakes, we're going to say we're sorry, and we'll make a new decision, and we'll move forward. So God bless, take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.